Hi everybody, my name is Lonnie Bowling, and in this video I'm going to go over on how to create a Pi server in the cloud. And specifically we're going to use Microsoft's Azure services to create a virtual machine and then deploy and install Pi onto that server. I think this is a great way for developers when you're trying to work on applications and you need to have a Pi system that you can have access to anywhere. This is an excellent way to go about it. So we're just going to do pretty much just a straight up install, and then we'll set up some security so that you can be able to access the system via a computer pretty much anywhere. So I've been doing this for about a month and a half now, almost 2 months I think, and I found this extremely convenient, and it's very simple and very quick to set up a Pi server and to tear it down when you're done. So I'm going to come over to my browser and go to my Azure portal where I am logged in. And from here you can see we have some virtual machines. I already have one set up that's called SkyPi. That's kind of my main server right now that I'm using in development. And we want to create a new one. So we're just going to blaze through this and get one set up. So the first thing I want to do is click New and go into our virtual machines, and I like to use the From gallery here. You can set up one from scratch if you know exactly what you want, but it's simpler to me just to go ahead and just pick one of these, and there's all kinds of things that you can pick. But what I want to do is I want to pick SQL Server Standard Service Pack 1 on Windows Server 2012. It's new modern operating systems and database. One thing to look out for is a virtual machine should be medium or higher, and this is just the amount of memory that's added and the cores and everything like that. The larger your virtual machine is, the more as it's running, that it's going to count against your credits, your Azure credits. You get those credits when you sign up for an evaluation 90-day, or if you have a MSDN account, you get a certain amount of credits a month. So anyway, I like to try to keep that as small as a virtual machine as I can get away with, but I don't want to make it too small to where it's not usable. So here they're recommending, because we're going to have SQL Server Standard, that we should have a medium or higher. The reason I'm using this gallery, just to back up quickly, is we do need to have SQL Server for AF to run, right? So we want to just get that SQL Server installation out right away. So here, let's go ahead and give my my machine a name, and I'll call it Panda 01. And here you can see our medium, 2 cores, 3.5 gigabytes of memory. We'll go ahead and set that up, and I'm going to just give my user's name, and I'm going to generate a password. We'll go ahead and I'm going to put in my password here from LastPass, and we'll go ahead and this cloud service is about being able to do load balancing, and so I usually just let it go ahead and create a new service instead of using an existing one. And this is going to be my DNS server name, panda01.cloudapp.net. Remember that, because we're going to be using it down the road when we're setting up our security. Okay, so here I want to get the data center that's closest to me just for performance. Storage account, we'll just let that automatically generate an availability set. We're not going to get into that either. That's an advanced setting for if you're doing more of a production deployment. So the next thing I want to do is just come in and let's get some endpoints set up. And what we need to do is I want to set up a couple of endpoints, and one is 5450, which is used for the Pi server, and the second one is our AF system. If I get system spelled correctly. And this one I want to do 5457 and get that set up. And we'll go ahead, and this is going to allow us to remotely connect into our virtual machine from the internet, and we need to have those opened up, these endpoints created. So we'll go ahead and let this start baking. And so you can see that this virtual machine now is in the process of being created. We won't hang out the whole time, but right now, looks like it's 10:08 my time. We'll be done in about 10 minutes, and this machine will be ready to go. And then what we're going to do is log in using those credentials that we just created, and we'll do a Pi install, and then finally we'll set up our security. Really quick, while we're waiting, I can show you a little bit about Azure. I'm going to come into here and I'm going to view my bill. And I was talking about signing up for Azure, and you get these credits, and we'll go ahead and sign in, and of course it didn't work. Okay, let me get signed in here, get my portal working. Okay, so anyway, we'll come over here and let's view the bill again. And so you can go in, here's my Azure free trial, which is part of my MSDN subscription. And you can come in here and take a look at your usage at any point. And you can see that right now my billing period is from the beginning of the month to the end of the month. And I'm about halfway through my month, and you can see that I have $118 left of my $150 credit. And I can click on this little graph, and it's going to project out what it thinks, what Azure is predicting that I'm going to end up with by the end of the month at my current rate of usage. So I'm just going to be below $100, and this is probably the most I've used it since I've had it. I don't think I've gone that low. So anyway, certainly take a look at getting signed up for Azure if you're seriously developing against a Pi system and you're using the SDK and that kind of stuff, which is what we're aiming towards doing here. I want you'll want to have this. So get an MSDN account. It's not super expensive, and you're going to need it for Visual Studio anyway. So make sure you take advantage of your Azure credits. Okay, so our virtual machine is still in the process of becoming provisioned, and what you'll see is the status. It'll go through multiple steps Azure. As it's being created and started up. So we've got a few more minutes here, and then we'll let it get done. Okay, so that took just about 10 minutes. Right about 10 minutes. It seems to be pretty consistent with getting machine provision. So the first thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and connect to our virtual machine. And I'm just going to have it highlighted here. Come down and click this connect button. And what that's going to do is download a remote desktop profile. And we'll just come over and click on that. And it's going to bring us over. So we know that we created this local account called lbowling panda, and let's go ahead and copy my password, bring it over, and this will take us. This will do our remote desktop and get us going. We don't need to worry about our certificate here. We know this is a good, secure virtual machine. That's not going to be a problem. So we're Windows Server 2012, standard setup, and from here this is very much a normal experience as if you're remote desktoping into any system, either on a local area network remotely. And we'll just give it a few minutes here to spin up. So the first step is we need to get over to vCampus, and we need to download the binaries, the install packages for the system. And what I want to do here is I want to bring up my server manager, and I want to configure the Internet Explorer to turn off the enhanced security. And plus it would help if I clicked over on the right one. So we'll go to local services here. And here's our enhanced security configuration for Internet Explorer. I want to turn that off. Let's just get that off. And then we'll go ahead and open up Internet Explorer and head over to vCampus. Okay. Sure. Okay. Soft Campus. Do a quick search. Get us to vCampus. Cool place to hang out. And I need to sign in. And username. Password. And let's go ahead and sign in. Yeah. Alright, so here's vCampus. If you haven't been here, certainly it's worth getting a subscription to if you're going to be doing any type of serious development. And what we want to do is we want to go ahead. The first step is we need to get our prerequisites downloaded and then AF. And the nice thing about this gallery machine is you can skip the prerequisites part. It already has all the newest stuff on here and it's ready to go. And so I want to download the AF server right here, and we'll agree. And yes, we want to save that. And we have a very good internet connection because we're in a data center, and we're just rocking and rolling there. It took a few seconds to download that 77 megabyte file. I wish I had that at home. So let's go ahead and run this, and we'll extract it to the temporary file. And then we're just going to go through and do standard install. Now the nice thing is, if you remember, because of that gallery, we have that SQL Server already installed and running. So in 10 minutes, we skipped a lot of steps. We don't have to install an operating system or SQL Server, which is very, very nice. So it's going to install the 64-bit version. That all looks good. And we'll let it walk through this, and then we're going to go over and get the other install package as this is working. Okay, so we'll go ahead, get this filled out. Probably don't. You could skip this step if you wanted to. Put my company name in there, and we'll come in and do next. Sure, let's do all the default, and then I'm going to go to the default instance, so I'll just leave this blank. And that'll get to the local install of the database. Okay, so this all looks good. Standard dialog boxes. If you've done a Pi install before, it should all look super familiar to you. And we'll get everything going here. Okay, so it's building up the database. As it's doing this, I'm going to come back to the download center, and I'm going to go to the Pi server 64-bit version. And we'll go ahead and start downloading that. And it's going to be a 307 megabyte file. And we'll go ahead and save that. 30 seconds, that's pretty nice. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and minimize that. Let's see what's happening with AF. Okay, so AF is installing. And I don't think it's really going to take 6 minutes. And we've got our file downloading. Once we get this installed, then we can just move on to get our Pi system installed, get security, do a couple of quick security configurations, and then we'll be ready to go. There's one other thing too that I need to download to make sure that we're all set. And that is, let me come back to here. That's done. Let's go back to our download center. We need to get a temporary license file. And so here's the 30-day evaluation, or 30-day temporary license. I want to put that on there, and I want to download that. And that'll just get us licensed. You also have a license And it's going to go to the same download folder, so we're all done there. So that's it for getting our binaries. But I was going to say that you have a vCampus subscription. You have an annual license that you can use for development. So if you're going to create one of these machines and you're going to use it all the time and just keep it up and running, then I would certainly use that license to license your Pi server that's running in the cloud. And that way you always have it available, which would be really, really nice. But the 30-day one will keep you up and running for at least a month. And you can take this machine up and down. So AF successfully installed. The next item that I want to go to is I'm going to get to my download folders. You can see that we have our Pi license and our Pi server. So let's go ahead and get our Pi server installation up and going. Here, we need to download that license file because one of the first couple of things that we're going to be prompted is, number one, did you have AF installed? And you say yes, because I just did that. And then the second one is we need to have a license file, and that's where that license file will come in. So here's our message that says, yeah, AF must be available, and we do have it available on this current computer. And here we're going to just do the standard. Everything's going to get installed. Everything looks good. It's happy. Now remember, we're able to skip that prerequisites portion of it, which I thought was pretty nice. Another time saver. Alright, so let this open up and get rolling, and then I'll get my security settings set up here. We need to point it to that license file next. Alright, looks like we're just about done here, getting everything installed and getting to our first dialog box. But you know, one of the things that I'm hoping is when we're done here, you're going to see how simple this is, and that you'll be inclined to try it out. I think this is one of the things with a cloud system, or a cloud, that we're now kind of entering into a new time. We're going to do things a little differently. I'm going to go ahead and just use the default server name and all that good stuff. And okay, so we're going to have to point it to our where our license file is, and that was on our downloads area. So we'll go ahead and point it to there, and we'll say next. And we're going to, that's our AF server, so that's good. We'll try to connect to it, make sure AF is up and running. And we're connected successfully here. So let's go ahead and we don't want to enable this module database. We're not using anything that's going to require it, at least in this case. All right, and here we have all of our default setups here. The one gotcha that I found out is you want to make sure that you change this Pi archives from the D drive to the C drive. And the reason is there actually is a D drive. If I come over and look at my computer here, you see there's this D drive here, and it has a lot of space, so it's tempting to put it on here. See how it says temporary though? It is temporary, and what happens is if you reboot your server, that temporary drive will be wiped out. And so that's where your archives are setting. That's going to be a bit of a problem. Your Pi system is not going to come up and run the first time you have to reboot your server. Or if you take your server offline and stop it and restart it, because you don't want Azure charges by the hour when your virtual machines are up, but you can actually just pause them, and then you're not going to be charged against your credits. But when you do that and you unpause it, that temporary storage is cleared out, and so that'll also delete your archives. So definitely make sure you put it on the C drive. Obviously, in a production system, you won't want to do that. You'd want to create a new partition and do something, to where you would have some kind of persistent memory available that wouldn't be on the same drive as your operating system. So here, the Pi system is going to be go through its installation process. So while it's doing that, I want to get those security settings taken care of that I was talking about. And I'm going to just come in and set up our firewall. And this is those ports that we set up for our Pi system. We need to create an inbound rule here, and we want to set up a port. And let's move this guy over here. There we go. Oh, okay. It's a bit annoying. Okay. Guess we'll let this finish. I'm going to do 50, 54, and, 5450 and 5457. And let's go ahead and go next here. We're going to allow those connections, go all three, and we'll call this our Pi system, and that'll get those ports set up. And our message box here is that our installation is complete. Looks great. Now we can start up our system management tools and just check on what's going on with it. And there's the Pi system, Panda 01. I'm going to try to connect to it, see what happens if we come over to our data, current values. It doesn't look like we have it, and we're not able to see our tags coming up, and this just doesn't look good. We have this unable to open a server, a session on the server. RPC is non-existent. This is kind of a quirk that happens during installation. And what I need to do is I need to start up a command prompt here. I need to run it as an administrator. And what I need to do is I need to restart the Pi system for that licensing file to take effect. So we'll change directory to where our Pi system is installed, and that's program files, and then it's going to be Pi, and it's going to be ADM. And from here we just need to do, this is going to be, we'll just do the Pi server stop, Pi server stop, and run that. And what that's going to do is that's a batch file that's in that directory, and that's going to stop the Pi system. If you haven't worked with Pi much, what I'm doing here is not out of the ordinary. If you need to stop and restart your server, this is the preferred way to do it. You could also reboot your computer, but and then we just do Pi srv start and get that up and running, and this will get the license file to take effect. I'm not sure why it does that, but it's done it every time I've went through this, and so it's just something that I accept. Okay, so the Pi system is starting up, and we're pretty much we're pretty close to being done here. The one thing that we will need to do is we want to do a couple of things, right? We want to be able to connect to the Pi system from our local computer. We want to be able to connect using the SMT. That'll give us a basic Pi connection. Second thing is we want to be able to connect from AF. So we want to get those two security set up so that we can connect to the server from our machine, our developer machine. The last thing that I want to do is make sure that we can go ahead and go into AF and create a Pi point, and that we can actually see Pi data getting updated from within AF. So those are three things that we need to get to. And you're going to see that security is not that horrible, but certainly it's something that we're going to have to mess around with. All right, so let's come back to the reconnect, come over here to current values. Now we can search for tags. And we can just do a search, select all, Say OK, and you can see we have values coming in. So pretty awesome, huh? We got it up and running. The one thing that I need to finish up here is I want to come into security settings. So what I want to do is come down here and lower this security settings a couple of notches. It's still going to be secure, but it's just not going to be as secure because we're not going to be able to get away with using Windows authentication fully. Mainly because this virtual machine, of course, is not on the same domain as my work computer. So think of this as more of a work group. And there might be other ways to do this, but this is the quick and dirty way that I found to just get yourself going. This will still be secure. You're still going to have a username and password to log in, but we're just not going to be using Windows authentication all the time. So we need to lower this down, and then here we need to restart our Pi-based subsystem. I've done that earlier, but I'll go through and do this again. This was, we just do a net stop, Pi-base stop, Pi-based subsystem. That'll stop it. And then we just do a net start, Pi-base subsystem. And that'll start it back up. That'll get our security, that'll get the security set up or restarted so that we're now using these settings. What I want to do next is I want to add in a new user, and we'll call this Pi Azure, and we'll give it a short password. One of the things that I've experienced here, just as a quick note, is if you have problems connecting using an account like this, an explicit login account, double check your passwords and make sure that they're not too long or they don't have crazy characters in them. I've had passwords actually fail for some reason. I don't know if there's a bug in the system or not, but just a heads up, if you encounter problems here, try a shorter, simpler password and see if that fixes your connection problem. But we'll go ahead and we'll create that with a very short, simple password at this point. And I'm going to come into here, into my Pi SDK utility. Now this is on my client computer. We're not on the cloud. We're going to go ahead and add in our server reference and see if we can get our connection working, okay? So we'll do Pi Azure. Whoops. We want to do our server, Panda 01 cloud app.net. And I don't want to confirm because we're going to have to set up our what we're going to be logging in as. So we'll go ahead and get that added. Now, what I want to do next is come over and change this to Pi Azure, and that'll just make sure that we're going to log in with a proper account. And then we'll try to connect. And it wants a password. And we'll try to do that and see if our password works. So there we go. We're able to connect. And if we come over to SMT and open this up, and we'll go ahead and we'll come over here and we'll take a look at some current values and log in, and you see that we should find tags here, and there's tags. We'll go ahead and select them all and say OK. So check that out. We've created values. We're able to go into our SMT now and work from our local client computer, and we're connecting through that explicit login using the Pi username and password. So that's step one. Now, the next step is let's see if we can get connected to our AF. I'm going to go ahead and start up our Pi System Explorer here. And this is not going to connect me to the server that I want. I want to go ahead and add my new server. We're going to add an AF server. And here, we want to go ahead and type in our same Azure or our same cloud server name. So we'll just do Panda 01 cloud and we're going to connect through 5457, which should be open. So let's go ahead and do a connect, and yeah, we'll save that. And now it wants us to log in, and this is where I want to use that local Windows account that we created when we first created our virtual machine. So you need to remember that password that you initially typed in at the very beginning. So it's trying to connect right now, and and it just modified the name of my AF server, and I'm going to get rid of this alias. I don't want to alias it. So here we were able to successfully connect, and everything looks good. Let's go ahead and say OK, and now let's open that up. So here you can see we have our configuration database. Let's create a new database. And let's call this let's go ahead and call this SkyDB. And let's connect to SkyDB. So the security of that way was a little easier. Let's go ahead and create a new element, and let's call this. Let's go ahead and just set element 1. Let's go ahead and check that in. And now the last step that I want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to make sure we can get Pi data, a Pi point working here, making sure that my security is working the way that I'd like it to. So I'll create an attribute. We'll call this. Let's call this system pressure, and let's come into here and let's click on this, and we want to make this. We want to connect to this the same server, and we want to do a tag name. And so here you can see it's asking for our credentials, and this is so which credentials do we want to pass in? Well, really we want to pass in the same credentials that we just used to log in. But if I try that and I come over and I paste my password in here, it's not going to let us. We're going to get this insufficient privileges. So we actually are not, it's trying to connect us, but it's not allowing us. I want to just prove that. If we come back here to our remote desktop and we look at our message logs, I want to take a look and see if we had something that was not, we have an unsuccessful login here. And the credentials, it passed in my Windows credentials from my domain, DSTL bowling, and that was no go. So what you might also say, well, why don't we then try this? Let's try full resolved URL. Full resolved domain name, and do lbowling there, and make sure I get my password in here. I don't want to get denied because I have the wrong password. We could try this, and we could try that. Now we also, once again, get the denied. And if we look at that, see what that looks like, and we can come down, and here you can see we passed in fully resolved with domain, and it's still, this time it gave us a different type of error. So I played around with this for a while, and I'm still unable to get this to work. So if anybody out there knows what it would take to get this to work, go ahead and post your answer here. That would be very cool. If you're doing this and you find out a way to get the Windows authentication working, that would be nice. But what I've done, just because it's like I do need to connect, I do want to connect, is I'm just going to set up a trust, and I'm going to trust here. This is going to be, I'm just going to call this, name it after me, and go ahead and come over here. Actually, I think I want to do this one. Skip this. I want to do, what I want to do is, I want to set up a trust for my computer, and that's going to be do you believe it's 5651, and Pi identity, I'm going to make this an admin, and so 5651, we're going to try to just connect as myself. And if you noticed up here, when we go back to our message logs, there was something where it tried to use a trust from the computer. DSTL 5156, and there's no trust relationship. So we could set up this, and I think I actually named my trust wrong here. 5156. Let me go ahead and fix that before we do that, so we don't get an error. 5156. I love my IT guys. They give really intuitive names to my computer, to my computers. Okay, so that should hopefully allow this trust to work. And let's go ahead and just do a search and see. You know, we're not coming up with this login problem anymore. And I could go ahead, select CDT 158. We'll say OK. Now you can see we actually were able to get the Pi data. Can check all this in, and we should be good to go. Come back and take a really quick look at our logs, and you can see that we were able to successfully log in with that trust right there, the trust Lonnie. Okay, so just to reiterate really quickly, we were able to get this with the security settings. We were able to get our Panda 01 cloudapp.net connected via the About Pi SDK. We added it in there, and then with our Windows, our Pi system Explorer, we're able to log in using that local domain account, and that gave us the ability to create elements and to navigate around in AF. And then the last thing we needed to do was to get that trust set up so that we could get these Pi points working against our Pi server in the cloud. So that concludes the setup of getting a Pi server up and running in Azure. I hope that this will help you if you try to do this, and if you have any more suggestions about security and how we could better set up security, that would be great. But I think this is a workable solution. This will allow you to connect from your computer. You know, and altogether, if from beginning to end, including the time of setting up your machine, you're looking, give yourself about 30 minutes to an hour to get everything set up and running, which, you know, isn't that much time to get a machine set up, you know, and working. I think that's really cool. The last note is when you're done with your machine, just make sure you take it offline so that, you know, you're not having your Azure credits count against that. And to do that, you can come in to your virtual machine here, and you can just hit the shutdown button, and that'll shut it down for you. So that's should be pretty simple. Okay, so leave feedback if you like this, if you think this was beneficial. You know, I think that setting up virtual machines in the cloud is going to be a very common situation for us as developers. So next, we're going to dive into connecting to this machine. I'm going to keep it up and running, and we're going to do some work with the SDKs. So once again, my name is Lonnie Bowling, and thank you for watching. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.